the shocking truth of all of these self-help sort of like gurus that we're seeing flood the internet over the past few years, saying that passion should be in the driver's seat of your life, they are flat out wrong. They are misleading you guys into believing that passion equals happiness. We're going to be discussing the problems with that, but also the solution, because this particular episode will be life-changing once you know the truth.
This is Don't Fear Grit with Rob Taormina. Marketing strategies and advertising technologies to help you build a better business.
So at one point in time, you definitely have heard someone say over the past few years that do what you love, right? What matters most are your passions. You should find a job that you're passionate about. And if you're not passionate about your job, well, you know what? You should do the quote unquote responsible thing, quit that job and pursue something that you're passionate about. It doesn't matter how old you are, pursue your passions. And this has really infiltrated culture around the world, led by, again, all these entrepreneurs, all these online influencers, all these motivational speakers, these online gurus. And apparently they know, and they are telling you and trying to lead you down this path, saying that your happiness will only come by you pursuing what you're passionate about. That could not be more of a lie. And you'll realize that a lot of these people that are listening to this advice have yet to actually experience their happiness. Why? Because they're making the decisions led by the wrong thing. Passion does not exclusively and absolutely equate to happiness. That is not actually how you are going to live a fulfilled life. There's a massive difference between being passion and being purposeful. Passion and purpose. Purpose is much more fulfilling, therefore leads to a much more healthier and happier life. Now, I'm not just saying these statements. There's scientific evidence to support this, and we're going to discuss this a little bit later on in the show. But I am, in this moment, to sort of use this phrase, I'm very passionate about this particular subject because I see that so many people are being misguided down this path that's not actually delivering on the promise. It's actually, unfortunately, sending people further down this rabbit hole of disappointment, discouragement, depression, and now trying to claw their way out of it is leaving people incredibly confused. See, letting passion being in the driver's seat, so to speak, is very, very misleading, because passion is about what everything around me can do for me. It's about what I love, right? And I want to be clear. I'm not saying that passion is wrong. I'm not saying that passion could not actually be something that's fun and enjoyable. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is passion should not be an absolute truth of being in the driver's seat and helping you navigate life and making decisions for you. That is a misguided piece of advice that is intentionally meant to trigger your emotion, get that emotional response, and simply to listen to whatever guru is trying to throw this idea down your throat. And people are buying this hook, line, and sinker because it does feel good. People want to let their feelings actually dictate what's next. They want to let their feelings actually determine what it is that they do. They want to feel good, but they want everything else as well. It's really a matter of a mindset game, though. That's what it is. And that's what we need to talk about. So in that moment where you're discussing your career, is being passionate about your work the most important variable when it comes to making the decision either to have that job or continue in that job? Well, I'm going to challenge that by asking another question. Is it purposeful? Is it fulfilling a purpose? And a purpose is, are you contributing something? Are you improving upon something? Are you making it better? Are you part of the success of something? That then equates to fulfillment. Fulfillment then leads to happiness. Now, back to this scientific study that I had mentioned a little bit earlier. There's a number of them, but I'm going to specifically reference a Harvard study that was done on this correlation or the difference between passion and purpose? Could they actually put together pieces of scientific data that can support which one is actually better? And they did this over the course of many, many years. And they did this with two completely different studies. I believe it was 2006 and then 2011, not relying on necessarily one experiment, one study, but they did it multiple times. So they had various data points. And what they found is incredible. Passion did not scientifically, biologically actually equate to happiness. It did not equate to a healthier life. In fact, purpose led scientifically to a happier, healthier life, right? Now, here's just some parts of the study that I want you to know about, just to add some credibility to this discussion that we are having. And through this obviously very intentional questionnaire, but they also performed physical studies like grip strength, walking, right? So they were measuring the physical effects or the physical evolution through many different studies over the course of several years. And based on the questionnaire and then obviously mapping out all of the data with regards to the physical experiments as well, they found an amazing thing. 80 percentile, right, of the people who actually had purpose as the driver. We'll call it the driver's seat, right? So purpose was the primary thing in the driver's seat. Those people were in the 80th percentile, number one, ready? An 80th percentile of performance and 80th percentile as far as health and longevity. So literally, these were doctors and scientists performing these particular studies. So they were 80th percentile. Those that had passion in the driver's seat, passion leading the way, they were in the 20th percentile of performance and 20th percentile in health and longevity. They were not as healthy as those who actually had purpose in the driver's seat. So it begs the question, if in fact purpose is the thing that leads to a healthier, happier life, why then are we being preached to by all of these individuals that passion should be the thing that you should pursue? The answer is really quite simple. Passion is an emotion, and I alluded this to you guys earlier. If you even look up the definition, Webster's definition of passion, it's emotion. And emotion, once you trigger it, can sway people in many different ways selfishly. So it actually puts the other people in the driver's seat of your life. And it's allowing them to guide you of what should happen next. But when you allow purpose to properly enter your life and now guide your next moves, you actually then find true happiness in what it is that you are doing. Remember what I had said earlier. Passion is good. Passion could be great. But what we're talking about here is to not necessarily say passion is the only path to happiness. And I'm going to exaggerate the statement here to make it a point, is when we associate happiness with passion, we're leading ourselves to disappointment. But when we equate happiness and having a healthy life to being purposeful, having a purpose, then we have this sense of fulfillment. And that fulfillment will lead us to a more healthier, happier mindset. Does that make sense to you, a lot of people here? Because I want to encourage you with this statement, and I don't want you to be misled and misguided anymore by this simple fact, just follow your passions. Because I feel like a lot of people are being led to a place of being confused. Can you sort of relate to that feeling of being confused? Of, I let passion drive what I do next, but yet I'm not happy, and now you're confused. Can you guys identify at all any moment in your life where you've done that? Listen, if I let passion be the only thing that drives what I do, I don't think I would be even a tenth of what I've experienced in my life. I wouldn't have experienced a tenth of the success that I've had in my life because I don't have a lot of necessarily purposeful fulfillment in those things. Here's a great example. I like trying new things. I know this might sound silly. Just hear me out and listen to this particular story. For me, I'm passionate about trying new things. So every year I give myself, I look at my bucket list, I analyze it, and I'm like, all right, what are some things I can check off my bucket list? And I passionately do this. And this past year, one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to roast chestnuts over an open fire. I know that might sound silly to you, but just sort of like bear with me here. And I was passionate about it. One thing that like my wife always says, I am all in, I am intentional. I will sit there and I will passionately pursue something. And in that moment, by the way, I can actually experience happiness. And I am happy actually pursuing something that I'm passionate about. But what I'm passionate about, in this case, the roasting of the chestnuts, is not the thing that defines me. If I let that passion define me, I'm only going to be led to disappointment because I'm limiting actually my abilities. I'm limiting myself of what I can accomplish, what I can be a part of. However, when I now shift that moment of passion, my hobby, into my career, my family, my responsibilities, and I shift that mindset and I focus on what is my purpose and how do I best fulfill purpose? Those are the moments I feel the most fulfilled. I don't feel fulfilled by roasting the chestnuts over the open fire, even though I was passionate about doing that. And in that moment, I committed myself and I was in fact happy, but I was not fulfilled. I am most fulfilled when I'm doing things and I'm actively present with my family. I am most fulfilled when I am part of something and I have purpose with a project with my team and we're accomplishing great things. And we successfully see that to completion. I am fulfilled. And that is true happiness. And as a result now of associating purpose with happiness, I'm actually having a stronger foundation for real success, for that feeling of fulfillment, versus allowing passion to try to create this artificial grounds for happiness. And it's a very, very weak foundation and it falters most of the time. Now, I know many of you are going to argue, well, I heard this particular speech, or I heard, this commencement speech about someone who pursued their passion. They followed their dreams. Let me just help you understand one thing is college universities, for example, at graduations, they're never going to hire the person who followed their dreams and failed. They're going to obviously pick the person who has a story that matches that sort of environment. So you are buying that strategic moment, hook, line, and sinker without thinking for yourself. Remember, look at the data, look at the facts, and the scientific data proves that people who follow their dreams strictly without the variables of purpose, fulfillment, people who are just following dreams, they are in the 20th percentile of performance. They are in the lower end of being healthy. They are in the lower end of happiness over the course of being a long period of time. Remember that Harvard study? So I know that maybe in the moment you're listening to a motivational speaker and he's able to articulate this message really well and wrap this idea of let passion be in your driver's seat, and you are loving it, and I get it. I totally understand it. That just tells me that you're not fulfilled. That tells me that you actually want to experience happiness. So you're looking for the solution. You're looking for the answer. And this leads us to the life-changing moment is don't assume that passion will be the solution to your happiness. Purpose and fulfillment is a much, more honest path to longevity, living a healthier life, and genuinely being happy. I want this to bring you to a place of at least thinking about this idea. Thinking, then the thought leads you to research, and the research then helps you to land on a solution for you. Understand the difference between passion and purpose. What do you want to be in the driver's seat of your life, helping to guide you to make better decisions for you, your family, and your future? Thanks for tuning in, guys, for today's episode of Don't Fear Grit. As always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Let's continue to grow and sow into this incredible community. Remember, don't fear the process and don't fear grit. Take care.